What's up, Taiwan? I'm Jeremy Olivier with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. China's military says it has wrapped up large-scale exercises around Taiwan, but says its troops are still deployed and on standby. The exercises, which included live-fire drills on Wednesday, saw dozens of Chinese military aircraft and naval ships operating around the country. Jaime Okan has this report on what the exercises entailed.
Soldiers on China's east coast rushed to launch missiles. And in the seas around Taiwan, Chinese Navy ships patrol. This is the second day of large-scale military exercises announced by Beijing, with new drills called Strait Thunder-2025A, practicing using live ammunition to simulate precision strikes on Taiwan and the East China Sea. Here in Taipei, officials are on alert as they say the drills are also practicing how to surround and blockade the country. On Wednesday, Taiwan's Defense Ministry reported 27 Chinese military aircraft and 21 naval ships in the region. Intelligence officials say that China's Shandong carrier got closer to Taiwan and that they are monitoring the situation for anything unusual.
昨天的位置是220海里，今天是190海里，因为船是会动，所以它在我们周边，不管它的距离多远，其实对我们来讲都是一个值得深入关切的一个重要的共军的一个动态。
But one of the most notable parts of the drills is the use of a new name. Previously, Chinese officials said large-scale drills would be a new normal and did need a label. Previous drills have been under the name Joint Sword, but Taiwan's Defense Ministry says whatever the name, there's no disguising the intent behind the drills.
最重要的一个部分是我们看它军演的性质是什么。不管这样的一个名称是什么样的名称，我们认为都没有办法 去掩盖以赤裸裸的这种军演、挑衅跟威胁台湾人民的一种心态。
With the increase in military activity and the diverse set of names, China seems to be conducting more comprehensive types of drills. This is a trend that's growing more concerning as China doubles down on threats to take Taiwan by force.
I mean, I think it's definitely getting much more in the rehearsal phase than it was in the past. So it's putting a tremendous amount of pressure on the Taiwanese armed forces, but I think it's going to send some pretty big shockwaves throughout, the Taiwanese Minister of National Defense and the RC forces about how do they respond.
Taiwan's military says it has mobilized units across the country and is conducting its own exercises to see how quickly it can respond to the variety of threats posed by China. This is the fourth large-scale military exercise from China in less than 12 months. And here at the Defense Ministry, officials say that they expect more exercises like this, but that they're taking it as an opportunity to learn about China's capabilities and further boost their own defenses. Fu Hahong and Jaime Okan in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A 20-year-old Chinese hacker has been exposed as being behind ransomware attacks against Taiwanese hospitals, schools, and companies. The Criminal Investigation Bureau says the hacker, surnamed Luo, goes by the handle Crazy Hunter and works at an information security firm in China. They say he revealed or sold stolen personal information after he failed to get Taipei's Mackay Memorial Hospital to pay a ransom in February. Taipei prosecutors have named him a wanted person. U.S. President Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day is just hours away, a day when he has pledged to reveal sweeping global tariffs. Some markets have already been falling because of the uncertainty. Joyce Zhang reports.
A slight rise in Taiwan's markets in the final hours ahead of U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of fresh, long-threatened tariffs. It's an exception, as other stocks in Asia continue to slide over fears the U.S. policy could plunge the economy into a downturn. Taking a longer view, Taiwan's most valuable stock, chipmaker TSMC, has fallen almost 16% since Trump took office in January. Trump is set to make what he says will be his biggest trade move yet. This time, reciprocal tariffs, a sort of tax price match expected to apply to all countries. Those foreseen to be hit the hardest, a group of nations Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has dubbed the Dirty 15, a list believed to be of countries with the biggest trade imbalances with the U.S., which would include Taiwan. Without more details, Taipei says it cannot be sure it will get hit with the levies, but it's devised a working group of officials to prepare for the worst.
这个经贸小组呢，由行政院在负责。譬如说如果加10%，那我们应该怎么做？如果加25%，我们会怎么做？所以所有的情境我们都经过这个分析推估，那么找出因应的方法。
Since taking office 2 months ago, Trump has already imposed tariffs on critical metals, a blanket tariff on all Chinese shipments, and goods from Canada and Mexico not covered by a 2020 deal. Just last week, Trump added a tariff on all foreign cars and related parts. As for what's to come,
if it's simply reciprocal, maybe the response won't be so bad. If it's a blanket across-the-board tariff announcement where every country, regardless of whether you're a partner, an ally, or a free trade partner of the United States, if everyone's getting 20%, then that's really complicated for everyone.
Trump has said the goal is to revive American production and stop other countries from, quote, ripping off the United States.
Take a look at trade with Asia. I wouldn't say anybody is treated as fairly or nicely.
Recently, Washington has kept Taiwan on its foreign trade barriers list, highlighting blocks to U.S. meat and cars into the country. On top of that, Trump has also long threatened separate tariffs on imported chips, Taiwan's most valuable sector, a tax that would go beyond simply reciprocating tariffs.
Taiwan does have some high tariff rates, actually some very high tariff rates on particularly agriculture products. And you have products like, semiconductors and a lot of ICT products, which essentially go tariff-free these days. It's already one of the most free trade, fair trade industries in the world. And so they're about to get hit with a very unfair tax.
As Taiwan braces for Trump's announcement, other countries are already standing ready to respond. Europe saying it will take strong measures if it must. But for now, all there is to do is wait and see what the U.S. president has in store. Justin Wu and Joyce Sin for TaiwanPlus.
The search for survivors is continuing in Myanmar, 5 days after a magnitude 7.7 earthquake hit the second largest city of Mandalay. But hopes of finding people alive are dwindling, and attention is now turning to what is fast becoming a dire humanitarian situation. Rosie Greninger reports.
Myanmar's military rulers hold a minute of silence for the victims of last week's powerful magnitude 7.7 earthquake, as hopes of finding survivors fades. 5 days on from the disaster, the death toll continues to rise.
ကျွန်တော်ရှိနောက်ဆုံးတင်တဲ့စင်းထိပေါ့ဒီနေ့မနေ့8 နာရီထိပေါ့ရတဲ့စင်းမှာပြည်내တိုင်းဒေသအားလုံးမှာ2019ရောက်တည်ပါတယ်2919ရောက်တည်ပါတယ်4521ရောက်တန်ရာရပါတယ်441ရောက်ပျောက်ဆုံးကြောင်းသတင်းပို့ထားပါတယ်ပျောက်ဆုံးကြောင်းသတင်းပို့တဲ့လူတွေကတော့တည်ဖို့ဆုံးဖို့တော့တော်တော်များပါတယ်အခုလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့82နာရီကြော်လာပြီဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်တိတော်မလို့တော့ဘူး
Rescue workers continue to search through the rubble for any signs of life. In the worst-hit areas of Myanmar's second-largest city, Mandalay, entire communities have been flattened, and there is significant damage to roads, bridges, and other infrastructure. Against the odds, a miraculous rescue. A 63-year-old woman pulled alive from a partially collapsed building in Naypyidaw, 91 hours after the earthquake struck. Beyond the immediate impacts, the United Nations says the earthquake has compounded an already dire crisis in Myanmar, which is in the midst of a 4-year civil war. Reports suggest the country's military leaders are still carrying out airstrikes against pro-democracy rebel groups and blocking aid deliveries. With hospitals overwhelmed with the injured, Multiple aid agencies are seriously concerned about the lack of access to essentials.
The immediate needs of the affected communities, as in any, I would say, earthquake, are becoming increasingly urgent. You have shelter, the foods, the clean water, essential household items are all in a short supply. Some people in the affected areas spend the night in the open, and some of us as well, together with the humanitarian actors, because you have no electricity, you have no running water.
Strong aftershocks are making the situation worse. Humanitarian agencies are urgently pressing for more aid funding.
Now, very quickly, we need to upscale. So we can only do that with funding. And ideally, we get funding for our previous operations and this additional requirement. Without that, we will struggle.
In neighbouring Thailand, also impacted by the quake, the death toll has risen to 21 people. Workers are still looking for survivors in the rubble of a collapsed building that was under construction, where 70 people are believed to be trapped.
ตอนนี้ยังไม่มีสัญญาณชีพนะครับที่พบนี่ก็มีร่างอยู่ผมว่าน่าจะ12ร่างที่อยู่ด้านในนะแต่ยังไม่ได้ออกมาเพราะว่าการเอาร่างออกมายังถือว่าไม่ใช่เรื่องสำคัญที่สุดตอนนี้นะแต่อันไหนที่พอออกมาได้เราก็เอาออกมาอย่างร่างเมื่อกี้นะครับที่เสียชีวิตก็ออกมาก่อนแต่ว่าถ้าอันไหนที่ลึกแล้วมีสิ่งทับอยู่เนี่ยเราก็ถือว่าขอหาผู้รอดชีวิตก่อน
The city has ended its disaster zone declaration, unlike Myanmar, where it's clear the impacts of the quake will be long-lasting. James Lin and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
With entry to Myanmar tightly controlled by the military junta, Taiwan is still looking for ways to help. They say the people of Myanmar need it more than ever. Tiffany Wong reports.
Taiwan can help. That's the message that Taiwan is sending to Myanmar after a magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck the Southeast Asian country on March 28th, killing thousands of people and destroying whole communities. Now Taiwan is calling for donations to help those in need. And nearly a week after the quake, they say they have finally found a way to get help into the country's tightly controlled borders.
他们真的需要帮忙，而且这个帮忙的过程不是你想要就帮忙得到，我们必须要想尽各种各样的方法，才能把我们的爱心真的送进去。所以，请各位媒体朋友不要问我们怎么送，因为我们的管道一旦曝光，我们就是会被封锁。各位都知道为什么，我都不用多说，谁会封锁台湾？
Myanmar has close ties with China, which funds many of its infrastructure projects. And the military junta that currently occupies the government did not respond to Taiwan's early offer of a standby rescue team. Students from Myanmar also urged Taiwan to help their families back home.
这些增援被很多因素被阻挡。我们老实说的好，就是地震是不分国界的。更希望各个国家的人 来帮助缅甸，来帮助这些受到这个地震灾难的人们。
Taiwanese business people in Myanmar say they can use their connections in the country to get aid to those who need it.
所以，这物资在目前严重的欠缺是在手电筒、帐篷、毛毯、急救包、食品、饮用水，包括丝带、床垫、蚊帐。台商会已经准备了在生产第2批 的物资已经在集中，预计在3天后又马上再送往灾区。
Despite the challenges, the Taiwanese community says they are determined to get aid to those in Myanmar. Hank Shi and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A concert is being held at Taipei's main train station to mark the 4th anniversary of the country's deadliest railway accident. In addition to the concert-themed Eternal Love and Remembrance, memorial lights are being installed at the site of the crash. 49 people died and more than 300 were injured on April 2nd, 2021, when a Taroko Express train derailed after hitting a construction truck on the line on Taiwan's east coast. The lights will turn on every year from April 2nd to 6th. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, we're traveling to Indonesia's Central Java province, where dozens of hot air balloons fill the sky to mark the end of Ramadan. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.